Good afternoon, everyone. This is Amy Cooper with Rise, and I'm here today with Greg Tacchetti, who's with State Auto Insurance. He's the Chief Information and Strategy Officer. Welcome, Greg.
Hi, Amy. It's great to be with you.
Great to have you. So you are speaking November 16th through 18th at the Future of Insurance. We're really excited about that. You have a panel on the future of commercial insurance. So just wanted to get your take on that a little bit, on how data is changing commercial insurance.
So that's a great question, Amy. I'll start with probably the analogy that resonates with most people before I get to the answer on commercial. Auto insurance. So if you think about auto insurance, forever it was your age, gender, marital status, and zip code that were the rating factors for your car, which were all really proxies for what you really wanted to know, which was where is the car, when's it being driven, and how's it being driven. You almost don't care who's driving it, but the age, gender, marital status factors would obviously put a lot of weight on that. So in the world that we're living in today, with a lot of the sensor capabilities, what we refer to as telematics, you're actually capturing the auto information. There's companies that are building their whole auto product, sometimes their whole company, just around that telematics offering. So that's my exemplar. And if you bring that forward to our broader thesis, which is really, we're living in disruptive times. As an insurance company, you're taking premiums to take risk off of a client, whether that's personal or commercial. And so you're always trying to assess risk. The companies we believe that are going to be better positioned for the future are the ones that are able to better understand risk, which in our world, most of the time is really a question about data. And what is unique about the times that we're living in, I'm not going to quote you all the statistics around petabytes that are being generated every day or how much of the total history has been created in the last 15 minutes. But the real issue is there's a lot of sensors, there's a lot of phones, there's a lot of imagery that's being captured. And to the extent that you as a carrier are set up in a way to consume that information, data, and then turn it into information, you'll be in a better position to understand the nature of risk. And to the extent that you are, you'll either be able to price more discreetly for that risk or even avoid the risk where appropriate. So to me, that really applies in an interesting way to commercial insurance, whether you're capturing imagery of a restaurant floor plan or imagery of maintenance records for major mechanical equipment in a building, or even in the same telematics example I used in personal auto before, how commercial fleet is operating. So to me, there is a tremendous amount of opportunity and potential disruption that we see in the very near future.
Yeah, there's so much opportunity out there, and that was a very good example. You also are talking to us a little bit about being first when it comes with cutting edge technology. So I don't want you to give away everything, but you and I were talking a little bit about people and maybe that piece of it. Could you tell us a little bit maybe from that angle?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, I won't give away the whole talk, but technology, needless to say, is always changing. So what is cutting edge today is not going to be cutting edge tomorrow or a week from now. So part of the answer to the question is having an infrastructure, an architecture that's nimble enough to have lower switching costs when the right technology opportunities present themselves. But the real key, is you and I were discussing, is your people and your culture. Getting a team of people that are fearless and passionate around meeting needs of their consumers, whether that's a policyholder, an agent, a claimant, even an internal customer. People that are culturally acclimatized to the right way to do things they'll overcome any technology hurdle that you have in your ecosystem. So I'm much more focused on people than the cutting edge technology, but you can really get some magical things happen when you have both.
Yeah, having good people is where it's at. We've been talking about talent for a long time. And so speaking of that, could you talk to us about how you got into insurance?
Yeah, well, it's a long story. I think I'm coming up on my 30 years in the industry, and over the course of those 30 years, I know of two people, and there might be a third that's slipping my mind, who actually went to undergraduate to study risk management or go, with intent to go into insurance. And one was in New York and one was in Georgia. Two great schools, but I don't know many people that go there. So for me personally, it was from the time I was probably 8 years old, all I wanted to do was pursue a career flying jets for the Navy, and was planning to do that. Spent the summer on an aircraft carrier at a 4-year scholarship, and my eyes went bad and I decided I didn't want to do in the Navy anymore. So then I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do after college. And I was blessed that a very close family friend, my brother's best friend's mom, just kept hounding me. And we were having a barbecue at our house, and she brought the application by the house and sneak attacked me and made me fill it out. And I actually had just gotten a couple offers when I got out of college for different jobs in DC with law firms and with the government. And turned out I had moved into a group house with a bunch of high school buddies that had all just graduated. And the Geico headquarters was 2 miles away versus commute into DC. So I figured I'll do this for a while until I figure out what I want to do with the rest of my life. And as the old joke goes, career is what you work on until you figure out what you want to do with the rest of your life. Here I am almost 30 years later.
Oh, that's a great story. That's awesome. So now things are probably different than they were then, but at the same time, talent is still a big issue. And in the insurance industry, we talk about trying to attract talent. So do you have any advice for maybe somebody coming from tech, maybe that's their undergrad and they're considering insurance for a career?
Yeah, I love that question. As you and I were discussing, I was in Seattle for 16 years and then moved to Columbus 4 years ago with State Auto. And as we were rebuilding that whole company and all the technology infrastructure, I did not have a great story to tell for technologists coming to us. It was going to be a ton of work to build out the new platform. But now I've got a great story. We were a big client with Amazon. We're doing a lot of serverless computing and a lot of full stack cloud native development now. So there are certainly a lot of companies that are doing that, but there's not a ton. And so we have a value proposition in Columbus, certainly over all the other insurance companies in town, but definitely with a lot of even the startups. There's a startup called Bull Penguin that I had a call with 60 of their engineers 2 weeks ago, and they were like, "Man, you're the only CIO I talked to that's doing some fun stuff. You guys are all normally old and boring." So we're taking advantage of that. I think we've hired 50 or so full stack engineers over the last 5 months of COVID, and taking advantage of some of the tough times some of our competitors are having, meaning other technology companies in the Columbus area. And the sales pitch that we give them is, some of it's not too interesting. It's an insurance company and it's stable, and in unstable times that's not a bad story to have. But the other side of it is what we talked about earlier, and the kind of disruptive times that we're heading into create opportunities for people to go do fun things. And for us, the biggest selling point I have, similar to my earlier comments, is less about technology and more about culture. If you want to be on a very consumer-centric team with people that always have your back and are going to be there for you and you're going to have fun at work, that's a great selling conversation to have, because none of us are independently wealthy. So if you're going to work, we'd rather do that around people you enjoy being with.
Absolutely. Might as well have fun with it.
Yeah.
So for the rest of our professionals, could you share the best career advice you've ever received?
So my dad grew up in Little Italy, Baltimore, and my grandfather was a heavy equipment operator. My dad was the first person to go to college and was a civil engineer, and he was the one that gave me the advice that he heard from somebody he worked with in commercial construction, which was the best thing you can do in your career is understand your boss's job and your boss's boss's job, so that if any of those jobs ever come open, everybody's going to look at you as, well, he already pretty much doing it, so why don't we just give him a shot, him or her. So that was the funny advice I heard at one point. But it's probably a moral of working hard and trying to make yourself valuable is the core of that comment.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you've learned this year with the events of 2020 that you could share with us?
There's a lot there.
It's a big year.
Yeah, it's funny. I've been in insurance companies all across the country for, as I said, almost 30 years, and in different roles. This is the first time I've run technology. You do a lot of event planning or disaster recovery planning, and the one that the risk officers always brought was, well, maybe we should think about a pandemic, and everyone go, no, we're not doing that. If that happens, all bets are off. So here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, some of the learnings, no time like the present. We came in with such a high sense of urgency 5 years ago, and we're able to really transform the company and really move away from paper, not for the sake of moving away from paper, but just because we felt getting things digitized was going to help you have better consumer centricity, better processes, et cetera. So, you fast forward through a lot of that. I talked about culture a few times. I run our call centers, and our call center CSRs would say, hey, Greg, do you ever see us being able to work from home? And I'd say, let's do a test, So last year we did a test and learned, what the local broadband requirements were going to be needed to support our applications, and learned internally what model and what chipsets you needed in your laptops to be able to run the soft phone software. So last October, we just completed a full laptop refresh, had gotten rid of some desktops in the call center. And so the biggest thing that we learned was, being prepared. And so when the crazy thing that we had to deal with, wasn't anything big. The normal desktop setup was 2 flat screen monitors and a laptop. So everybody grabbed their headset and one of the monitors and went home.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any service level disruptions. Like a lot of people, we saw the productivity go way up. I think I just saw something yesterday. It was like 60 million hours saved in commuting time.
Wow.
So, we're dealing with all the same COVID stuff everybody else is, people working more, and how do you balance that out? I think we're going to have a group cooking contest or event for our year-end holiday party in the first week of December. But I think the thing that we learned is, how to support each other. It's not how any of us would choose to spend the day, but it really changed the paradigm in a way that, no one could really have foreseen coming. And how we all reacted to that and helped each other through it is probably the thing I learned the most.
That's excellent, Greg. And we are looking forward to hearing more from you at the Future of Insurance USA, November 16th through 18th. So if you haven't registered for that, go check it out. And you can also check out more interviews on riseprofessionals.com. And if you haven't heard about Rise, go check us out as well. So thanks, Greg.
Thanks, Amy.
We'll
It's a real pleasure.